Hey guys, welcome back to Dark Blue Nutrition. My name is Katie, Registered Dietitian Nutritionist, and today I am answering one of my subscribers' questions, which I thought was a very great question. So the question is from E735 star, and the question is, can you do a cheap version of the Tone It Up Nutrition Plan weekly shopping trip? I find their grocery lists to be super expensive. So I am 100% with you. One of the biggest turnoffs for me for the nutrition plan from Tone It Up, which I love by the way, is that some of their ingredients and some of the recipes are just a little too over the top for me. I'm a very simple chef and I don't like when I have to pay $10 for a random ingredient that isn't that necessary in the recipe. I'm all for trying new things and new ingredients. I do love stretching out of my box and my limitations with trying new foods, but I do think that there's something extremely satisfying about shopping on a budget, and so I do have some tips for you because I myself do these things naturally with the Tone It Up nutrition plan. I don't follow it to a T. Partially that comes from me, being a dietitian and having the expertise to do my own nutrition plan. I just get lazy with it. That is my biggest flaw with my own meal prep, is that I just get lazy with coming up with recipes and thinking of things to do. It's not that I can't do it, it's just that I get lazy. So someday I hope to come up with my own nutrition plan. So comment below if you would be interested in having something like that from me, if you'd be interested in purchasing a nutrition plan, a very affordable one of course, but is that something you'd be interested in? And if so, what would you like to be different about it in comparison with other nutrition plans you've seen out there? What turns you off from them and what did you like about certain ones? Let me know below, that would really help me out. But let's get straight to the video and the tips. I already did my grocery shopping for this week and I did not film it, so I apologize for that. This is gonna be more of tips and tricks because I don't have a whole lot to film. Honestly, it's just my boring grocery shopping trip and there's not a whole lot to see, just being honest. Nonetheless, I have planned out my meals and I'll show you how I do that. So the first and most obvious tip, it may go without saying, but I felt like I had to say it in this video: skip the unnecessary crap. Just to be like real with you guys. I love kombucha, I love hemp seeds, I like all the fun stuff, the matcha powder, and even protein powder. If you can't afford those things, don't buy them. For the protein powder, I do recommend, especially if you're like me and you have like kind of a flexitarian diet, then you might need that protein, but wait for them to go on sale or wait for a coupon code and then get it at an affordable price, because a lot of these things are not necessary. Protein powder is one thing, but like matcha powder, kombucha, hemp seeds, these are not things that you have to have in your diet. If you can afford them, go for it. But if you're a college student, if you're someone who's on a budget, if you love the Tone It Up girls but just want to get the most affordable things possible, then skip those things. At first I always felt kind of bad for skipping out on these special ingredients. I kind of had that like FOMO, like fear of missing out moment where I didn't have all the cool ingredients that they had, but no one cares. The Tone It Up girls want you to follow the plan to the best of your ability. If it's not filling you up a ton or an essential part of your diet, then skip it. Kombucha can be upwards of $3 per bottle, and I think I checked hemp seeds the other day at the store and they were about $15 for a decent sized container. That's quite a bit of money, and sometimes I can spend $40 a week in groceries. If I were to buy hemp seeds, that would be a fourth of my budget or more just in hemp seeds. That's not gonna last me for breakfast. Be smart and save where you can. My second tip is one of my favorite tips. My super secret tip for saving money on the Tone It Up plan is to buy the KODIAK pancake mix instead of their protein powder for your pancake. You can still have a canister of their protein powder, but just use it for things that are going to make it last longer. Like for example, I use about a half a scoop in my oatmeal every day and it goes by very slowly. I get about a month and a half to 2 months out of one small container. Whereas if I were making pancakes with the protein powder every single day, then I would fly through my protein powder and it would cost me a couple bucks for a couple pancakes. That's not budget friendly to me. A box of KODIAK cakes is $4. It has about 5 cups worth of baking mix. A half a cup is a serving in KODIAK cakes, so this makes about 10 total servings. In other words, you can get so much more from a $4 box of pancake mix that has protein powder in it already, and it also has whole grains and other good stuff like that. You can get that for so much cheaper than spending all your money on protein pancakes. KODIAK cakes have chocolate, they have buttermilk, they have pumpkin spice and flaxseed. They also have different seasonal flavors too that come out. So I don't know what every single store would have. They do have these available online and in stores at your usual grocery store. They used to only be at Target. Now I think they're basically everywhere that I go shopping, besides Aldi, of course. This is my power tip. If you switch one thing or two things, then I would cut out the kombucha, cut out the unnecessary ingredients, and then cut out the protein powder and switch it up with KODIAK cake. My third tip has to do with smoothies. On the most recent Tone It Up plan, the Love Your Body 2019 plan, they have a lot of smoothies, and while they are beautiful and gorgeous, they contain a lot of kind of foofy ingredients in my opinion, and I think that you can do so much better at home using the stuff that you need to use up. When you are making a smoothie, if you have all the ingredients necessary for them, cool, that's fine if you want to follow the ingredients to a T. However, if you want to make a beautiful smoothie and save a little bit of money, use what you have on hand. Half the time I always have some sort of frozen fruit and fresh fruit in my fridge, and then I have some sort of green that needs to be used up, like spinach. Or you can use spring mix or whatever you have on hand. Kale, spring mix, spinach, all good options. And then some sort of liquid. Whatever you have on hand, use it. So if I'm at the end of the week and I want a smoothie and I just have some random like crazy mix of ingredients, I will try to make a smoothie out of them. Usually a smoothie just involves about a cup of liquid, at least a half a cup of frozen fruit, and then that kind of gives the basic texture that you want in a smoothie, the cold texture, the kind of ice cream like texture, and then you can add other things to that. So fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, whatever you want to add in there, any spices like cinnamon, go for it. I'm not a huge smoothie person, but if you are and you want to go the extra mile, you do you, girlfriend. I am just super cheap when it comes to that stuff. And then the same thing with the toppings. Don't feel like you need to go out to the store just to add a teaspoon of matcha powder and a teaspoon of hemp seeds. If you have chia seeds on hand, if you have a random cereal like granola, or if you just want to crunch up a cereal and like sprinkle it on top, if you have trail mix, these are all ingredients that would go great on the top of a smoothie to make it look pretty and Instagram worthy, but you're not spending the big bucks on them. So yes. The next tip is to pick 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches and dinners to make. 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners. I found that when I followed things to a T, they often recommended having multiple different recipes in the whole week, and I just kind of got A, overwhelmed with how many recipes I had to make for meal prep, and B, I found that I had a lot extra left over. I only cook for myself a majority of the time, and then I cook for me and my boyfriend, but oftentimes he's not having the exact same thing that I am having. So I end up with a lot of extra food if I'm cooking just way too much and way too many different things. I like to keep it simple. So I have found that if I cook 2 different recipes of each meal, I have options and I can kind of switch it up, but I also am not overwhelmed with options and I don't have a bunch of things wasted at the end of the week. In other words, don't feel like you need to follow the grocery list to a T. It may seem like that's the best option, but really you're going to be saving so much more money in the long run if you start with your pantry and your fridge, see what you have, connect those 2 different recipes that are in the meal plan, and then pick 2 recipes for each meal based on that. If you start with your fridge and your pantry, you're gonna save so much money because you're gonna use up what you already have, which is one of the biggest meal prep tips in the world, is to start with what you have. So I have my handy dandy list for this week, and I had oatmeal raisin overnight oats for breakfast. I said that my other option for a breakfast would be a smoothie using all my leftover fruits and vegetables at the end of the week. For lunch, I'm choosing the superfood Cobb salad from the Tone It Up plan, and then also the sweet potato tray bake. For dinner, my dinner options are chicken meatballs and zoodles and a tray bake as well. So I kind of doubled up on the tray bake, so I'm making one less thing, but you know, I just wanted to keep it simple this week because I know that on the weekend I do plan to go out with friends. I just thought I would save a little bit there. My first snack is KODIAK cake protein muffins. This recipe is on the back of the chocolate KODIAK cakes. Really good recipe and another great way to save money on the Tone It Up plan. Instead of the Tone It Up muffins, which have a ton of ingredients, use the protein muffin recipe on the back and you'll save a ton. I always seem to make those muffins either wrong or they're way too dense and I don't love them. So to be perfectly honest, I like the KODIAK cake muffins so much more, and they're super easy. A protein bar is another option because I have a ton of protein bars in my pantry that I need to use up. Then peanut butter and carrots or guacamole and carrots. Peanut butter and banana is another option, and yogurt. So those are some of my options. So I made this list based on what I had in my pantry and what I wanted to have for the week, and then I had another list handy and made a grocery list based on these recipes. So I had a bunch of things going on. I had a grocery list, I had my list of ideas, and then I had my ebook for the Tone It Up nutrition plan, and I kind of coordinated with all those and made my own special grocery list based off of what I needed. My final tip for you guys is to choose the vegetarian option on the plan. You can save so much money going vegetarian and getting beans and tofu versus any of the meats that you're gonna get out there. Meat is a very expensive ingredient, so luckily for me, I don't eat a ton of meat, and that saves me a ton of money versus someone who would have more of the chicken and beef and different things like that. So I do have fish, I do occasionally have chicken, I just don't have them a ton. So I'm more flexitarian style than vegetarian. That is just another option for you. Even if you go vegetarian a couple days a week, then you're gonna save tons of money on your shopping trip. Let me know in the comments below if you have any extra tips for the community of Tone It Up girls out there who want to save a little money on their next shopping trip. So excited to have you guys here on my channel, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye guys.